We have to start with what just happened over the past 62 minutes on The View. And it's not even one of my wacky View clips for you where we just make fun of Sunny or Joy. I mean, we love those. But this is like legit Joe Biden, who's on, well, you guys will tell me what he's doing here. And I'll tell you what Mark Halperin says. He's on some sort of a rehabilitation tour. Well, okay. Anyway, he goes on to The View, and it wasn't rehabilitative at all. Here, okay, let's start with, I guess, 37. Is that the one we love the best, Steve? You pick. 35.
Why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States of America. Right. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman. She's this. She's that. I mean, it really. I've never seen quite as successful and a consistent campaign undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country and a woman of mixed race.
Yeah.
I mean, he could barely spit it out.
And he threw that one out there too.
My goodness.
He and Obama are two peas in a pod on this. Sexism and racism, if you didn't vote for her. That's obviously what she thinks too. But the nerve of this guy of all people to come out and say that's why she lost.
Yeah, I mean, here's the deal, Megyn. You know they're putting him out there to provide proof of life because a lot of people are wondering. They hadn't seen him in a while. But at some point in every person's life, you go from rehab to palliative care. And he is definitely in the palliative care category right now.
It's also sort of funny to me. Like, they're so effusive in their praise of Kamala Harris. Like, at some point, it sort of undercuts whether she was actually qualified if you have to say it every time you mention her. You know?
It's true.
And the other thing is, like, it's obvious the reason why she lost. It was all the damaging video and audio of her from when she ran for president back in 2020. It was being tethered to his terrible administration.
I was going to say,
of course, It's easy for him to be like, well, it was misogyny and racism. That's why she went down, because then he doesn't have to admit the thing that he was a terrible president.
Yeah, it was my border.
Yeah.
What the hell was he talking about, by the way? He was like, I've never seen such an effective, like, misogynistic campaign. What the hell? Like, that's actually a first take. I mean, I know that Democrats say, well, it's because the country is misogynistic and racist and all those things. But, like, he's pointing the finger basically at the Trump campaign, saying that they had, like, this. Well, I mean, if you go back to, like, the ad slate of the messaging matrix that the Trump administration put together in the course of that campaign, it was immigration, it was crime, it was the horrible economy. I mean, none of these things are gender specific. Right. All of these things are his horrible decision making that she was latched to the belt on at The View when she said, I can't think of anything I would do differently.
Oh, they asked him about that. They asked him about that moment. Watch this, SOT 36.
When the vice president was here, I asked her if she would have done something differently than your administration over the past 4 years. And because of all the successes that your administration had, I think her response was, there is not a thing that comes to mind. Now, that answer was weaponized against her. And there has been some reporting that you encouraged her for there to be no daylight between the two of you. First, is that true? And do you think in retrospect that she should have tried to differentiate all the wins that your administration had?
Well, look, first of all, I did not advise her to say that. Number one. Like I said, I was vice president. I understand the role. Number one. Number two, I think she was talking about wouldn't have changed the successes we've had, not opposed to that we wouldn't change anything at all. She has to be her own person. And she was. She was. And so I think that was used in a way that is contrary to what she meant by when she said that.
Oh my gosh!
And I think that she was part of every success we had. We'd argue like hell, by the way.
God.
No. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
We sit and say, well, what about this provision? No, Joe, I don't like that. Well, anyway, we worked it out.
What?
Oh,
my Lord.
Did that clear it up
Team
for you?
of rivals.
I mean,
You have clarity on it now?
That gerbil is having a hard time spinning the wheel.
Yeah.
That is about as torturous as I've ever seen.
It was torturous, and on Sonny's part too. There, like
Yes.
she is trying to hand this off to Biden, and hopefully he can take it from there, right? Like okay, she wants to straight face tell us that what the question was, like what sort of wins would you have changed? Like that's an actual question you would ask a person. It doesn't make any logical sense.
That's exactly
it was so
right.
insane
Thank
the
you.
way that she's like beyond effusive of being like, so here's the thing. Because of your record of tremendous successes, dear leader.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Right.
Are you asking him a question?
Like Joe Biden, tell us your greatest weakness.
And you know what?
listen
You know what's
too
so
well,
amazing?
You know?
What was so amazing about it, you guys, is that so here she's like, I am not going to make the same mistake twice. You know, I already fucked up Kamala Harris's run for the office. And I am not going to do anything to undermine this guy. So I'm just going to give him the answer in the question. Like, you know, and so she declined to distinguish any of her policies from all the ones that you did so successfully. What's your reaction to that? Right? So she's trying to give him the softball like that.
Right.
And then he has no idea what she has said. Like in his defense, it was kind of incomprehensible. But this is not the way to set Joe Biden up for success because he couldn't spin it quite the way she could. And by the way, for the listening audience, she read the entire question. These women are dopes. They can't come up with their own thoughtful question. They can't ad-lib something to them. She's just reading what some producer, and I know this personally, I've been on The View many, many times, they give you the questions in advance as the guest. I guarantee you they gave those questions to Joe Biden too. In any event, what a joke, right? Like, and so none of it made sense. The premise of the question was false. Like she was giving Kamala the chance to differentiate herself from all the successful policies that Joe Biden had. And then his answer, which is, I don't think people used her answer in a way that represented what she really meant, which was, I think, what you just said, something about how successful I was. Like,
it's exactly right. And there was one moment where I think something registered for Biden. If you caught at the very end of her question, and she said, I asked this question and the Republicans weaponized it against her.
And he's like,
that was amazing.
Like, I didn't tell her to say that.
You could see his face. It's almost like, you know, if you have a generator at your house and the power goes off and like everything's dark for a second, then you hear the generator kick on. That's like what it looked like. His eyes all of a sudden opened and he was like, I didn't do that. It wasn't my idea.
He got the epinephrine shot. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. That was an amazing. They weaponized it. You mean they reacted to the thing she said and said, "Gee, that's going to hurt her. She should differentiate herself because he is very unpopular." Weaponizers.
I think what's really interesting to me is seeing the way that. So this is an opportunity to talk to Joe Biden, which would be a great get because you could actually ask serious questions. Because I mean, the American people want
to know
that's
real
the
stuff.
thing.
Yeah,
and their choice is to be like, so because of all your successes, right? And then that like their thinking is that, oh, this must have been just sexism and racism at it again. This is why they're stuck where they are as a party. They can't escape the stupid set of ideas that they ran on, and because. This wasn't a close election. They got smoked in every swing state. Trump won the popular vote. This is the worst loss the Democrats have had in a generation, if not beyond that. But they're not turning the page on that. Like when you were talking about how, they're trying to say it was a campaign of misogyny. The only ad discussing gender I remember the Trump campaign ran was the effective one that said that Kamala's for they, them, Trump is for you.
Yeah,
that was Trump standing up for women.
Right. It was the opposite. It was the opposite.
Oh, I got to interrupt you. We got white smoke.
Oh. Is it pizza balla?
Pizza balla.
Yes, please.
We got white smoke coming out of the Sistine Chapel chimney, signaling a new pope has been elected to lead the Catholic Church. Wait, here on SiriusXM, we have firsthand access to data because we are in tight with the Catholics. We know Cardinal Dolan. We know a lot of people around him. I'm going to ask my team to go check out our sources and find out whether we have infiltrated the Sistine Chapel, and we can give you an advance word.
Oh, it's got to be the Italian guy.
People cry out for pizza ballo.
They cry for it.
Okay, it's exciting. Let's see. To me, it's the basic thing I'm looking for as a Catholic is, are we going to double down on left-wing progressivism in the Pope like we had with Francis, or are we going to go more traditional with, an actual conservative Pope who's going to uphold Catherine doctrine in the way that we're used to, maybe bring back the Latin Mass, get right with the messaging when it comes to a wall and immigration, things like that. Well, let's find out. We're going to find out very soon. It's exciting. Maybe we'll get you a picture of the white smoke momentarily. But let's go back to white man, old white man, Joe Biden. Here he is. Let's see if he's doing any better on his rambling. Okay, let's check in and SOT 37.
I knew it wasn't going to happen right away.
What?
The projects, the benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best healthcare in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best education system in the world? How do you lead the world when you don't have that done? And we're all set up to do it. And last thing, I thought what he would do, I thought he'd come along and be smart. I shouldn't say it. I thought he'd come along and say he did it. Look, when you have the lovely lady from North Carolina who talked about me with such affection, saying Joe Biden did more than anybody did, and so on, as a criticism.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Remember? I ran as an ad.
That was that.
My point is that I thought he'd say, no, I brought you this. I brought you healthcare. I brought you this. I brought you that. And we actually, this is a guy who left with the largest deficit any president has added when he was last time president. And cut it to his choice. What's it all about? Cut all these programs.
Okay.
What the hell is it?
All right. To quote the great Archie Bunker, this July, there is a global summit of BRICS nations in Rio de Janeiro. The bloc of emerging superpowers, including China, Russia, India, and Iran, are meeting with the goal of displacing the U.S. dollar as the global currency. They're calling this the Rio Reset, as BRICS nations push forward with their plans. Some worry global demand for U.S. dollars will decrease, bringing down the value of the dollars in your savings. While this transition won't happen overnight, the Rio Reset could mark a pivotal moment. So learn if diversifying your savings into gold is right for you. Birch Gold Group can help you move your hard-earned savings into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals. Claim your free info kit on gold by texting MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, let Birch Gold arm you with a free, no-obligation info kit on owning gold before July and the Rio Reset. Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.